It's called Connected TV, which is in over 180 million homes on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. I see you like those numbers, so don't wait. Call us today at 1-855-566-6328, extension 5. Do you want thousands of potential customers to see your business, artist, event, etc.? Of course you do. Well, get a commercial on Connected TV, which is on Roku and Amazon Fire TV in over 180 million homes. You heard me correctly, in over 180 million homes, so it's a no-brainer. Call 1-855-566-6328.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Break Free with T. Marie. It's my first episode, y'all, and I am nervous. But it's going to get through. We're going to get through this together because that's kind of part of what today is about. We're talking about breaking free from imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a real thing. I don't know if you guys are aware, but it is a psychological term or psychological experience that causes people to be scared, afraid, stuck in their mess, right? And so me, Tanisha, T. Marie, I am your personal business strategist. I do a lot. I am the CEO of Impact Child Behavioral Services for children with autism and ADHD. I am also the founder and head of school of Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy. If you do not know about either of these entities, please look us up on social media. We are there. However, let's just get into it. Like I just said to you guys that I am the founder of a school. I did not say daycare, of a school, private school, K through 12. And I know for me, I said to myself, and I still say to myself, I don't know too many people who own an actual school and an actual building and doing the things for us, by us. But I had to step out of fear, which is essentially what imposter syndrome boils down to. So, what does that look like? That's kind of what we're going to get into. How does it, how do you get out of it? It's kind of what we're going to get into. So, again, let's just jump into Breaking Free with T. Marie, my first podcast. I hope you guys have subscribed to Connected Radio because that's who put me on. I'm super excited. So let's talk about it. Have you ever been terrified to do something? I just talked about it. I'm terrified that I have started this podcast. But it was one of the things that, at the beginning of the year, I did my vision board. I do it every year. I do a personal vision assessment, right? My birthday's January 2nd. So I kind of look at that as my actual new year. And I said, I need to do a podcast. I need to get my voice out there. Had a few friends who were like, yo, you need to do a podcast. And I'm like, nobody want to hear what I have to say. But essentially that was imposter syndrome right there. That was me stepping on something. See, when someone tells you, you got this good or you do this well, and you're not able to accept that as a compliment, that in fact is imposter syndrome. That's your way of kind of reducing yourself or pushing the fear out in front by masking it as ain't nobody trying to hear me. No, someone just told you they want to hear what you had to say. Boom. So I did that. I did that today by launching this podcast. I stepped outside of myself, stepped outside of my fear. Listen, everybody has their first, right? No one does it right the first time. They just do their best. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to do my absolute best to get the information to you all, to speak from my heart, to be sure that I'm informing you of kind of the things that I go through, the ebbs and the flows, the pitfalls of being an edupreneur. That's kind of a new thing that's been coined lately. It's an educator who's an entrepreneur. I've tried a lot of things, fearlessly, right? Just throwing things up against the air. But stepping into this education entrepreneurial space was probably, aside from this podcast, one of the most challenging and fearful things I could have ever done. First off, let me just keep it real with you. It's really not a lot of money in it, right? It's challenging to get people to step away from free. Because remember, my competition is public school or charter schools, which are free. So I have to market endlessly. I have to network endlessly. I have to be a strong communicator. I got to put myself out there so people know that they're entrusting their child to someone who's compassionate, educated, logical, all the things, right? All the things. So I'm being that in my fear, scared as bells, but making it do what it do. So essentially, imposter syndrome, the first way to tackle it is recognizing that it's fear. Like, you got to call that thing out. People say you can't overcome drug addiction, right? If you don't say that you got a drug problem. Like, why would you try to fix something if you can't identify it? And so with imposter syndrome, it's the same as that exact thing. I'm saying that I'm fearful. And so I know what to go at. If you're a praying person, I am, then I know what to pray for or pray against, right? I can say, we're going to go ahead and shut that down. You also surround yourself with people who can continue to put the battery in your back to help sustain you, to kind of push you. Shout out to Kev. I texted him one day. I was like, I want to do a podcast. He was like, the flyer came within not even 20 minutes, right? Those are the type of people you have to surround yourself with. They have to believe in you. And even if they don't, just be crazy enough to say, you know what? Shoot, let's just try. And that's what I did. And that's why I sit before you. Same thing I did with the school. Same thing. I had a daycare. The daycare, now that was lucrative. I did well. But I understood that my full potential and purpose was being left on the table, because once I shifted those children out at 4 or 5 years old into the big boy and the big girl school, I lost them, right? I couldn't continue to put the empowerment and continue to, make sure that they were evolving as a whole child. I couldn't really do what I wanted to do, how I do it, because they were gone. And so I made the shift. Essentially, my daughter, she was in high school. She wasn't loving it. My little girl, she was in a micro school, which is where I started. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just try. And looking back, I don't think I was as fearful, because I'm one of them people that'll jump. I'll just jump. And I know that's not a lot of people's thing, right? They don't just jump. Side note, to be an entrepreneur, you have to be crazy. Let's just say you have to be. I was talking to Kev the other day, and we were talking about other entrepreneurs. When you look back at the people who are successful, they're a little crazy. Jay-Z is crazy. People do not have a lot of nice things to say about him. It's his drive. It's his one-track mind. He has a vision that's all he sees. Sometimes it's hard for people to be around you because that's all you think about. But I will tell you that helps you not succumb to the fear. And the other thing is, it helps you build up your arsenal so that you know that, listen, I got the skills, I got the tools, I got what I need. So even in my fear, I could still walk through it and walk to it. That's really what it is. You just look into the light, Caroline. That's what you're doing. So essentially, that's what I did. So like I said, I'm just trying to help you look at imposter syndrome. It's a real thing. It's psychological. It's in the book. You can Google it. It's on there. But it is the fear that is stopping you from moving forward. Before I go into my next phase, I have several segments that I have it all lined up nicely for. I'm going to go in and drop a quick little commercial break, pay a couple of bills, and I'm going to come back. We're going to talk about what that fear looks like on you.
The Connected Radio plays the hottest hits from indie or mainstream artists. Artists, do you need radio play and promotions? Call us at 1-855-566-6328.
Hey y'all, we back. Hey beautiful people. Once again, this is T. Marie telling you to break free. Today we're talking about imposter syndrome. Breaking the chains. What does that look like? In the last segment, I talked about imposter syndrome being a real psychological thing, right? It's the thing that holds you back. It's the thing that you put up, that guard that says you can't do something. And so today we're embracing fear. Like I said before, I was so scared to do this podcast, but here I am flowing because at the end of the day, everyone has their first, right? No one expects you to be perfect. But essentially, we want to break these chains, right? We want to get down to the nitty gritty. So the first thing we want to do in getting past imposter syndrome is we want to name the fear. Here's one. I'm going to read this one off. It says, I want to ask you what's your excuse and what's really just fear in disguise. Maybe it's, here's an excuse. I don't have the time. That's a thing. That's a real thing, but it's still an excuse. Let me tell you why. Just digging into my own personal life. I have 5 children. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 31, 23, 20, 18, and 8. 2 grandchildren, a dog and 2 grandpups, okay? And a husband, 2 businesses, and now a podcast. Oh, and did I mention I'm in school to get my doctorate in ministry? Time? What's that? It's another excuse, aka a fear. Let me tell you why, because it's an old adage that says just this: you make time for what you want to do, right? And so if you organize your life, if you prioritize your life, if you sacrifice some things, right? If you imagine if you sacrificed a year. Imagine, just look back at a year and say, yo, that whole year I didn't do nothing. I didn't do anything productive, right? Imagine saying, I'm just not going to go on a trip. Imagine sacrificing the things that make you happy just for a little bit so you can have that long-term purpose. Because happiness that's temporary and long-term purpose, 2 different things. I remember just a small little example. I remember I was redecorating a room in my house. I was all into it. I love doing home improvement stuff. All into this room. It was my whole thing. But I also love getting my nails done, right? I sacrificed getting my nails done so I can focus on that room. One, I didn't want to keep breaking and bumping them, right? Because I was moving furniture and going to Facebook Marketplace and picking up stuff. And I was in it. I was in that moment. And so although I really, really loved my nails, I had a goal. And my goal was to get my room not just furnished, but just redecorated. And so to do all of the things, I had to make a sacrifice. Now that's a small micro sacrifice. To some it's huge, but we're talking about delving into your purpose. So what does that look like, right? Like, what could you get away from in order to manage to meet your purpose? For me, I've sacrificed a lot. I've downsized my home. I sacrificed going shopping. I haven't been on a trip. But when I look at the building that I'm in right now, guys, I'm in about 7,000 square foot school building. I keep telling you, I have a school. That was a tremendous sacrifice because here's the thing, all of my financial resources and my time resources goes into my school. I make my family aware. This is what I'm doing. It's not a passion project. It's a purpose-driven life. It's a different, because see, a project lasts 6 months, maybe a year. Purpose is lifelong, right? It's legacy and it's long-term. And so I'm doing something for not just my children, but my children's children. And so when you get that thing down deep inside of you like that, and you start feeling that feeling like that, it should be a no-brainer. That doesn't mean fear doesn't set in, but all those other things that I just lined up in front of it should be able to trump the fear because you got things to do. If you're a mother and somebody messing with your kids, listen, they could be 6'2" and you 5'2". You still gonna step to that person because they done mess with your baby. To me, that's what purpose is, right? That's your baby. And so you get in the way of that, it's a problem. Now, again, you got to prioritize things. You can't not feed the kids, right? Because you're so into your purpose, but you gotta figure it out. That's where the prioritizing life comes in, right? Having a team, a support group. I got grown kids, so thankfully they can kind of help me out, and they've been in this thing with me for a while, so they know, I got to step in. Thank goodness I have my support system that I do, or I wouldn't be able to run the way I do. But again, it's an excuse. I don't have time as an excuse. I don't have the right credentials. Here we go again. I'm not a certified educator, but I'm good at what I do, right? I get outcomes. And so also, once you get on, you can hire the people who have what you need, but what they don't have is your level of creativity and ingenuity. They don't have the vision that you have. And so as long as you have that, again, you can hire a team to get the credentials. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I'm sure that people who are running the biggest companies don't all have MBAs, right? They don't all have marketing degrees. They don't all have the PhDs and haven't done the research, but they have the concept. They have the vision. They have the tenacity and the wherewithal. And so they surround themselves with the right people who can help push it up. Now, don't forget those NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. If you got that vision, make sure you get that paperwork signed off on, because if you don't, they'll steal it. That's just good business. That's just due diligence, right? But we'll talk about that. If you follow me, I'll continue to give y'all little tea bags of information that you could dip in your little water and make you a nice cup of business tea. But moving forward, let's go with another excuse. I'm not qualified enough. That kind of goes with the credential. And for us women, that's a big one. That's a huge one. I read something one day, years ago, good read though, where they said if you're looking for a job, men and women look at things totally different. A woman will look at a job description, and if it's 10 points on the job description, she'll say, I can only do 4 of those points, so I'm not qualified. A male will look at that and say, I can do 4 of those and they'll train me to do the other 6. Put me on. That's the way I like to look at it. Free game, by the way. It's how I like to look at it. First of all, if you're going to a company, let's just side check. If you're going to a company, they have to train you their way anyways. And then if we're talking about building your purpose, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you have. Again, it's the ingenuity, it's the vision, it's the dream. And if you put it on paper and make it plain, the Bible say, write it down, make it plain. If you do that, it can come to pass. It shall come to pass, right? Surround yourself with the right team. I've never, ever believed in that more than I do this year. I got my building March 1. I got the phone call in February. Hey, T, remember I promised you this building 2 years ago. First of all, who would have thought that this person would have called me from 2 years ago? Let's rewind. I'm not from this area, okay? I'm not from Charlotte. So I've had to get out there and make my face of value, right? Show that I'm somebody worth getting that phone call. I got the phone call. Hey T, I promise you, let's come look at it. Me and one of my parents who's been, rocking with me from when I had the child care center, she was like, I'm available when we going to look at it. And I go look at the building, and I had to try to keep my cool, but I was like, this is what I've seen. And like, since I was in college, right in this thing, this is a school. I get the school, sign all the lease. I manifested how much. I called my prayer sisters / my cousins, 3 Courts. Shout out to 3 Courts. Called them. We prayed the night before. I'm talking about we went into it down to how much I wanted to pay for the place. Got to the building the next day, walked through, got excited. Then I got cool, popped my collars and said, all right, great. It's beautiful. I love it. But what's the price? I'm going to tell y'all, he told me exactly what I prayed for. That was the number. I walked into it. Now I was a little fearful, but when you get to this stage of I've been an entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur for the last 5 years. When you get to this stage, you just like, listen, we just gonna go at it, right? That part of fear, taking chances and risk on that side is really not where I am right now in terms of imposter syndrome. So I sign, yes, I want it. We get the lease signed, but then I get the building. The lady who came and looked at it with me, the parent, she cried. She sat outside. We're taking pictures, and she's crying, and I'm like, "Sis, is you cool?" I know my kids said I can't say that. It's a slang, but I felt like I had to. Is you cool? She said, sis, you have a school, and I'm like, yeah, we do, right? Great, but she was crying again. Team, that's number one. She's crying for me. And what she's seen manifest through me. I hadn't even got that emotion. Okay, boom. So then, I throw out some flyers. I see people start to share the flyers. I'm like, this is crazy. This is amazing. Look at the momentum. And then a brother shares my information with another brother who ends up coming to lease some space. Shout out to Dr. Price and Tyrus Rory, right? So they lease, Dr. Price leases a space. He does computer programming. So Pathways NC is one of our partners, community partners. They do computer programming and teaching at our school. But he brought a sister named Tasha along. Tasha comes, you know how we are, hey, how you doing? But then God tell me a few weeks later, you need to call her and get her on the board. You need to get her on team. And okay, God, I'm not a fan of the team thing, because a trauma response is I'll do it myself, right? When you've been let down a lot, you kind of had those trauma responses in them triggers, right? So I'm like, I got this. There's no way I can manage that big old building by myself. So long and short, call Tasha. Hey, I was thinking. Instantly, she was like, yes, if that's what you want. And since then, she has introduced me to the most solid people who have created a team to where I have to check myself. I have to say sometimes, are these people really saying they're supporting me? They're really here for me. If you do not have a team, you cannot move forward. I mean, I love Michael Jordan. I really do. But if it was no Pippen, no Rodman, like, could he really have jumped, from the free throw line? I don't know. I'm just saying. You have to have a team. Now, I don't bring up new basketball because it's not as thorough as old basketball. So I'm going to go with my point of reference. So, my point is, you must have a team. So even with my impact school, like just telling my new team that I put together, hey, listen, this is what I need. And they're like, I got you. You need that because you and one of my board members, Kevin, he said, T, we need your head creative. And if you're doing all the things, you can't remain creative. And it's like, were you in my head? Were you in my space? Because that's exactly it. You cannot take from somebody, they only can do but so much, right? And you want your leader, you want your visionary to stay in that lane, and you want your team to lift you up so that all of the pieces, all of the things get followed through effectively and efficiently. All right, so let me go back. So I said, you don't have time. Here's some of the things that we disguise, right? And they're really just imposter syndrome. They're just fear showing and rearing its ugly head. I don't have time. Again, I told you I had 5 kids in school, grandkids, grandpups. We just got a turtle the other day, like all the things. Time is what you make it. You don't have the right credentials, hire someone, barter with someone. Listen, I'll let you bring your kid to my school, or I'll do your makeup if you do my lashes. Like, That's how we used to do it before money and all of that got into play. Like, so let's go back to it until you make people believe in your vision. And if they don't, move on till you get the next person. But these are the strategies that's going to get that out the way so you can actually see that, yo, I can do this. And once you start seeing that, them little nuggets start hitting you, you start standing up a little bit. You start walking a little firmer, a little stronger, right? What's the other one? I'm not qualified enough. And I didn't add this one. I'm not enough. I tell y'all, that's the one. We don't think we're enough at the end of the day. And we can go back to our whys, right? Like, my mother told me this when I was little, or my father told me this, or here go one, which is a good reason why I started the school. My guidance counselor or my teacher, what Biggie said? His teacher said he wasn't never going to be nothing, right? It's hard to overcome that, though. But when we go back to what I originally said, is you have to name that thing. You got to name it. You got to go back and be like, you know why I feel like I'm not enough? Because my teacher told me that. Shame on her. No, let me rise up real quick. If nothing else, and I'm gonna show her. Now, you don't want to do it for that reason alone. I want to make sure I always preface that. You got to be wanting to do it for you, right? And God has to put that thing on you. But ain't nothing wrong with, eating in front of your enemies, your foes, your woes. Sometimes you got to do that, right? I'm going to tell you what I don't do. Sidebar. I don't delete people. I don't delete people off my social media. I don't block people. Don't watch me eat. Watch me work. I might not be rich. I might not get all the things, but you're going to see the consistency. You're going to see that you didn't break nothing. Because that's not what we doing, right? And hopefully, and I'm going to go back into my Christian ways, right? Hopefully you inspire. Because 9 times out of 10, it really wasn't even you. It's what was in you that they saw. Oh, come on now. It was what was in you that they saw that they couldn't take. They couldn't swallow it. Years ago, I used to work for this little like community center, whatever. I was a little director, whatever. And I remember telling one of the people I was like counseling, trying to get them to go into drug rehab. They was like, when I come back, I don't have anywhere to go. I'm just going to come right back to the same place. And I said, and you're going to, it's a high level, high propensity that you're going to go back to using drugs. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the people around you are going to consistently start trying to give it back to you, not even because they want to see you fail, but because they don't want to see what they can't do in you. So the minute you go and do something that they weren't willing or couldn't do, now that's a direct reflection. It's like putting a mirror in front of them and they saying, you couldn't get clean. So if you and your girl been sitting at the table talk about, well, we gonna do this, and then you break out and go do it, she's probably not necessarily mad at you, but more so mad at herself or him, fellas, if y'all watching me too, mad at himself because he couldn't get out the box. That's the whole crab in the barrel. That's what that whole thing means. If I can't get out, you ain't getting out. But it's really not about you. So you don't want to take it as personal. But that's exactly why I guess I keep people on, right? Because I love to say, if I can do it, you could too. A lot of us come from the same place, maybe not the same zip code, but we have a similar story, right? And so if you could see me break through, get up out that barrel, why can't you? Right? Even me doing this podcast, like it's probably people who's listening or gonna listen or run past it and be like, I don't like her voice. Whatever, it don't matter. You still listening. And here's the thing. Hopefully you get a tea bag that you can dip into your cup of tea. Right? Because ultimately I'm here to want to inspire, because it's enough out here for everybody. The ingenuity in us as a people, the craftsmanship, the skills, the ability, what we lack is the stick-to-itiveness. What we lack is not understanding that it's imposter syndrome. What we lack is the ability to identify the fear, name it, and get rid of it, right? It's just like cancer. Cut that thing out, throw it out, period. So, yeah, so I'm not enough. I'm not enough is a big one. And so just going back, identifying who said it. What was the context of that? Did it matter? Could you chew up the meat and spit out the fat of what they said? Because maybe it was a little something you could have done, spruced yourself. But we all can accept constructive or should accept constructive criticism. I get that. I appreciate that, actually, especially as I heal and continue to grow. Constructive criticism coming from the right person in the right context is dope. But even if it's coming from the wrong person with the wrong context, right, doesn't necessarily make it not dope, right? Because what it could just mean is consider the source, chew up the meat, spit out the fat. They might have had a good point, but maybe you just don't like them and didn't like where it came from. Chew up the meat, spit out the fat. Keep it moving. Don't let it hit you, because if it sits, it becomes trauma. If it sits forever, bad trauma, right? Difficult to get out, very expensive therapy bills, a lot of praying and crying on the altar. Get that thing out of there. But here's what helped me. Let me go back to what happened. What helped me? I remember who I'm called to be. I had to write that thing down. I remember who I'm called to be. Children like me. I call myself the kid whisperer. It's a thing. It's a thing for me because kids are always around me. I told you I have 5. I have my grandkids. They're with me everywhere I go, right? Other people's children like me. Animals like this is who I am. And once I realized that, I was free. I could literally never make a dime, although I have to live, so that's not realistic. But follow me, theoretically, right? I could never make a dime and I could still do this because I found it. Like, I moved here. I started teaching at the school system here. Again, not an educator by trade. I have my degree is in business. But I started teaching and I did well. Now my supervisors might not have said I was the best because I did it my way, which is why I knew I had to be an entrepreneur. But follow me again. I was a good educator. My kids met proficiency and above, right? With no training. I found my thing. I had a daycare when I was 25, which is insane because who wants other people's children that young? I did. And I was very successful then. Worked in community programming. Like, it was just my thing. Like, my family, I have a family of educators and childcare providers. My mom is into community work. So it was kind of what I was supposed to do. But now I know it's my purpose, right? Working with the children specifically. And once I figured out what I was supposed to do and who I was supposed to do it for, and here's the one, whose I am. I'm a child of God, made in his image. There's no reason for me to have the level of fear, because God does not give you the spirit of fear, right? But there was also no reason for me not to recognize that I can do all things. Y'all finish the rest. Ultimately, once I realized that, I kind of became unstoppable. I see myself almost like putting on football gear. Go Bills. And just kind of hitting the hole. Hit the hole, coach. Like, just because I feel unstoppable until my mind gets in the way. They're not going to like me. I'm posting too much. People probably talk about... Let me tell y'all something, little something that just happened to me just yesterday at church. Bishop walked up to me. I'm minding my good old business. I posted this, so y'all probably already saw it. Just walk with me anyway. And he walks right up to me to prophesy. I'm thinking service is over. Try not to make eye contact because I don't want to seem thirsty, like I want him to come and say something directly to me, because I don't want that. And he walks right up to me and says, "You big. You're like a giant. You're somebody. And I need you to know that." I'm like, not the first time I've heard that. One thing I've learned is a lot of times, and you got to pick up on this, and your spirit got to be sensitive to this. People will tell you that you somebody before you realize it. Girl, you bad at doing hair. You good. Oh, girl, this ain't nothing. My daughter, Zoe. You so good at this. My other daughter, you are so good working with the patients. Now my other daughter, Alexis, finally going to be a nurse. Didn't want to do it. They didn't want to walk. Now, that doesn't mean that Zoe, because I know she's like, Mom, don't put me out there. I don't want to do hair. I understand that. But even what she's going to school for, dental hygienist, she probably didn't realize this, but when she had braces at, 11, 12, the people at the dental office used to tell her, you are so good at cleaning teeth. Would you come in and show other people how to clean their teeth? Because you keep your braces up. Your hygiene is so on point. It's great. It's this and that. Like, these are people. And so now we flip it 10 years later, and she's going to school to be what? A dental hygienist. She's launching what? Her hair business, right? On the side. Because it took for probably 15 people and then Kev to finally tell her, girl, what's wrong with you? For her to finally say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my flyers out and blah, blah, blah. But you know what it was? And she used to say it all the time. People who know me going to say I can't do hair, or, people who know me, imposter syndrome. And it's sad. It's sad. Got to break that thing. Break it now. Okay. All right. So here's what helped me. I said this. I remember who I'm called to be and who I'm called to serve. I am so here to serve all my parents and children at Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy. Again, that is a K-12 private school, no longer micro, right? Located in Concord, North Carolina. And I'm now also called to work with the children who have autism. Like, I have mothers who are saying, we pray for you because you're really gifted working with these children with autism. Now, I just say, my mother always say, don't do that, because here go another tea bag. What you're good at, the next person is not. That's why it's yours. It's your thing. You're good at it. And you're not supposed to be in every lane, but if that's what you're good at, do that. Do that. And do it so well that you can trademark that thing. Do it so well that you can brand that thing. Got to get out your way. Got to do the thing, right? It's in you. It's in all of us. And yes, I focus on entrepreneurship because that's my world. But even at your job, if you're really good at something, man, if you're good at marketing, you might be the chief marketing officer one day. Don't stop. Do that thing. Do it well, exceedingly and abundantly, right? Do it well and watch the elevation. But again, if you're a worker, great, but that's not my thing. I'm an entrepreneur. I can't go back. I work places and I'm a good employee for probably 3 months. And after that, I'm in there like, y'all could do it like this, maybe if you do. And then I don't like being told when to take breaks, but I digress. But yeah, there are some fabulous employees, and we need you to do the things, right? Because the world can't work with a bunch of entrepreneurs. So I've come to that realization as well. But yeah, the families at Impact Child Behavioral Services, Inc., and the families at Kingdom Kids Empowerment. And I hope you all, well, I'm not going to say hope because that's imposter, right? You all who are listening, I'm here for you as well. I'm here to serve you and give you a voice, explain all the things, my pitfalls, my ebbs and my flows, because I've made so many mistakes. And one of them I'm just going to kind of reiterate was not building a strong team, letting my trauma tell me I had to do it and could do it alone, because that's false. Absolutely not true. Okay. All right. I'm going to take a quick purpose pause, come back, regroup just a little bit, and then we're going to wrap it up. At Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, our focus is on developing the whole child. We do this by focusing on our core value system, which is the acronym HEAL. That stands for Holistic Health, Mind, Body, and Spirit. E stands for Economic and Entrepreneurship. A stands for Academic Success. And L stands for Leader Development. So what our goal is to do is to make sure they are academically, socially, and emotionally sound individuals.
Kingdom Kids has made a big impact on all three of my children. I have a 5-year-old that's reading very well, can express his emotions. Which is really big. I have an 11-year-old who was having problems with ADHD, focusing in the traditional school, and now he's here. We appreciate the one-on-one Miss Tanisha has for our children.
At Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, we don't just teach. Our goal is to build future leaders.
Hi, I am Zoe, and I am a graduate of Kingdom Kids. I enjoyed and loved the program so much to the point where I come back on my free time and volunteer.
We believe every child is born with greatness. We believe every kid has a quirk. At Kingdom Kids, our goal is to empower them to soar and reach it.
If you're ever looking for a place that your child can be wholesome, your child can be who they are, and the teacher can meet them where they are, I truly, truly, truly would say Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy.
At Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, we're looking for families. Hey y'all, welcome back. We're going to go into my purpose pause. This will be a segment that I do every episode, I guess. I'm going to try to insert that in there. And so it's the time where we just kind of reset and reflect. I mean, I've said a lot, talked a lot about imposter syndrome today, that thing that sets us back, that thing that steps on our throat, that fear, right? That ultimately we're going to name, right? So I'm going to try to get through it because that's a little exercise that we do at the end. So in this purpose pause, I want you to literally do that. Take a break, pause, take a breath. And what fear, I want you to just think about this. What fear have you called logic, right? Here's one just to kind of give you an example. I thought I needed expensive gear or fancy lighting. I really thought that. Like I thought before I started this podcast, like I called my sister-in-law and I was like, since you do podcasts, like what do I need? And she was like, oh, I can get you all the things because she did a podcast. And that instantly just kind of had me like paralyzed. Because I really didn't have the money to expend on another thing, another endeavor. When I told you that all of my financial resources goes to Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy and Impact Child Behavioral Services, I meant that, right? Like everything I have. So that was an instant. So I never got back to it. And so thank again for the team that when I came around and I met Kevin, I said, listen, can I do a podcast? And it just came to fruition. But imagine had I not reached out to him that Saturday morning, right? Imagine if I let fear step on my throat, or in this case, my fingers, and I didn't send that text out, right? So I wouldn't have gotten this podcast. I wouldn't have gotten this space to use my voice. And so, what thing is blocking you from saying, this is why I can't move forward? And, again, write it down. Like if you're not an entrepreneur that's writing things down now, some of us will say they use their devices, they put it in their notes, and that's cool if you're a techie person. I myself am a proponent of having that notebook. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs will say the same, like, because when that thought hits you in the middle of the night, and you just get up and you write that thing down, or you carry it with you all the time. But to each his own, however you have to do it, just get that thing out of there. So write down a few things, like, if you got to take away, if you want to take something away, what did I hear today when I listened to T. Marie? Well, you heard that there's a thing called imposter syndrome. If you hadn't already, you heard that that's really linked to fear. You've heard that it's your job and your job alone to identify it. And then you went and did an action step. You actually wrote it down so that you can see it and execute. I'm talking about get that thing out of there, right? Execute getting it removed. All right. And so I'd say one of the things that I wrote down here is write it down, honor it as a real thing. Like that thing that you thought, like I thought I needed lights, and I think he had all of that, right? But I really thought that was a thing. Honor it. Don't look at it as nothing, but then release it. All right. You can't heal what you're hiding. It's a very good element. That's another one. You cannot heal what you're hiding. Like I said earlier, if you don't name that thing, then you cannot go about attacking it. You just can't. You're still living in oblivion, and that's not okay. All right. All right. Here's some tools and some takeaways. It says unleash it. I took notes, guys. I made sure I had notes because I wanted to make sure that every detail that was in my mind, I was able to get it off to you, and then I came off in kind of a logical and sequential way. So yes, I have notes because I believe in you all. I believe in this podcast, and I believe in making sure that I don't miss anything so you get all that I have. I'm not doing this for nothing. That's a double negative. I'm not doing this for anything. So let's shift into action. Here are your break-free moves for the week. Call it what it is. It says write out the excuse you've been using and then write what's really behind it. Is it fear? Is it shame? Is it fear of failure or success? That's a thing, right? Some of us don't want to get too successful because then they're not going to think of me the same. I'm not the same, Nene. You're not. And that's okay too. But let me tell you something. You can also level up and come back and get those people or not, because everybody can't go. I'm gonna leave that there. Number 2, do it scared. Not Brene Brown. I can't think of her name, but she used to be like one of the top executives at Facebook. Sheryl Sandberg or something like that. She had this thing when she worked at Facebook. She said it was a big sign. It was in her book. She said, and the sign said, me and my mom loved this. It said, what would you do if you were not afraid? That thing sit with me. When I tell you, I read that probably 15 years ago, and I still stand on that. Because what she's basically saying is, if you absolutely had no fear, what would you do? Man, me right now, I'd probably do some bungee jumping or something, but I'm scared of heights. So, and I'm not going to say that I'm doing it because for what? But my point is, that's kind of the gist of it. What would you do if you just were absolutely unafraid? I will say that, quitting my job, that, I had a good salary as a teacher. I had 17 years, master's pay, teaching at Charlotte Mecklenburg schools. I was doing all right, right? Able to pay my bills. But I quit. But in that, I'll tell you about this, a story for another day, but God had to kind of yank me up out of there. I wasn't going to leave if what happened, the series of events happened. We'll talk about that another day. But it says, do it scared. Go on and record the video, launch the product, send the email, start the podcast. Okay. Do it before you feel fully ready, because movement brings momentum. That word momentum is so heavy. I'm gonna talk about that a whole different, like that's a whole other show. Momentum is a whole other show, especially when it comes to marketing and things of that nature. But once that thing starts to go, that's why you gotta move. You gotta put one foot in front of the other. That's how you build momentum. Say it out loud. Okay, it says, let's say this together. Here's the one. And I posted this earlier today, a picture of myself, and I said this. I no longer shrink to make fear feel safe. That's the one. Okay. I am enough, and I am ready even in my fear. I'm going to read that again. I no longer shrink to make fear feel safe. I am enough, and I am ready even in my fear. Significantly profound. Okay. Listen, this podcast started not because I had everything lined up. It wasn't perfect. I wasn't ready. I was still in here going over my notes, scared, right? but I stopped waiting. I shot the text. Once the text went out, it grew legs. The momentum happened. Got a marketing tool. Posted the marketing tool. Once you start posting something, you got to keep going, right? Or it looks fugazi, old school word. Basically corny, right? I'm gonna say it again. It looks fugazi. I like that word. I like copacetic. I like them old school words. What I say? I said because it didn't start off perfectly, but because I stopped waiting to be fearless and I started choosing freedom, I'm here. I'm here doing a podcast, right? All right. I was gonna talk about the Freedom File, but it's kind of my daughter, and I kind of already told it. My not my youngest, but my second to youngest, Zoe. She didn't want to do hair, right? She just didn't want to do hair. And just I guess it's freedom because she finally said yes. Now she did do these braids. They're gonna get redone, a little smaller. They'll be cuter next week, but they're still cute, right? She keeps my braids done. She keeps everybody's braids done, faux locks, all of that. So shout out to Zoe. But that was my freedom file. That was the one I was going to talk about, who finally set themselves free from being afraid. And I think what hurt me most as a mom is to see her openly go through imposter syndrome because one or two people, I'll be nice, said she couldn't do what we all knew she could do, right? Like I'm a grown woman. I'm not about to walk around here looking crazy. My daughter, she's grown. Like she is serious about her hair. She was making sure that my daughter kept her hair up. And so I'm like, do you think we would walk around looking crazy? And everywhere we go, we get compliments. But that still didn't register to her. And so now she's going to school. She's looking at, okay, when I go to college, I'm going to need, an income. And what can I do? And I'm like, baby girl, you can always go work a job, because she works with me right now, but her schedule probably won't align. So I'll have to see her go from Kingdom Kids, and she helped me build it up. But I'm okay with that because the birds have to fly, right? They gotta fly on in order to be self-sufficient. And she supported my dream long enough. It's time that she has hers. But I'm like, Zoe, it doesn't have to be your only thing, but you have a skill, like my mom always says, that other people don't. And so you need to capitalize on that. And when we talk about braiding hair, if you know, like it's not a cheap thing to get your hair braided. So, she'll do all right and be able to maintain herself through college. And I think once she starts the momentum, once, one or two or three people outside of family start affirming her. But that's also not okay, because remember, we talked about in the beginning, you got to affirm yourself. You got to know that you know. You have to know what you have. You have to know who you are and whose you are. Don't forget that. Who you are and whose you are. And I don't mean your man or your mother. I mean, you're God's child. So in that alone, that should allow you to be able to at least start, put one foot in front of the other. Because remember, I said it in the beginning, you got to start. That doesn't mean you're going to start perfectly. But she's got some skin in the game now. She's going to start a whole lot better than I would, because I don't braid. I can ponytail and twist, but different topic. She can do it. She probably got it from her grandmothers and her great grandmother, because they were all stylists, like how I got it from my grandmother working with children, and my dad and my mom in the community. Like it's a legacy, it's a lineage. It means you have to do it. So that's my freedom file. Like, she's free. Hopefully I can update y'all in a few months and say that she done bought me a new car or something off her braid money. I don't know, something. We got to get something out of it, some benefit. But the point is, that's my freedom file. But y'all, guess what? Just wrapped up my first podcast. I did it. Break Free with T. Marie. We're going to be here every Monday from 6 to 7. Y'all, I got on my Kingdom Kids shirt because when I tell you I left school, locked up, got a little bit of gas, and flew over here with the pure and sheer purpose to talk entrepreneurship, to talk some business, to give y'all a couple tea bags to dip in your tea, right? Make sure you sip it. Make sure it makes sense. Make sure you took some notes, but more importantly, make sure you downloaded the connected.net app, right? So that you can see me easily. If not, if you're on my page, it's probably how you got on here, right? I'll be sharing it live, but go on the page. It just makes more sense. Listen, got any questions? I'm on Facebook, T. Marie DaCosta. I'm also on Facebook with my businesses, Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy. It's also another page, KKEA. You can go on either of those. Impact Child Behavioral Services, that's on there as well. Same on Instagram. YouTube, I'll get back to you on those. But anyway, I'm lining them up. I'm gonna drop to a commercial, but other than that, I'll holla.
Are you a content creator looking for a home for your movies, TV shows, podcasts, or more? Well, I have the perfect home for you. It's called Connected TV.